tonight on the Chillstream. I have completed successfully my first live stream on Rumble, and I can stream there from here. And the King of Africa, turns out he's a white guy. All of that, and we got some other stuff. See you guys in 2 minutes. And we are back. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday night chill stream. It is Sunday, August 18th, I think, 2024. I did not work today, although I did do 2 jobs yesterday, which combined would make for a good weekend. And I'm going to get paid for both of them, or I'm going to raise a stink. But so that's I really don't mind not working today. That's normally kind of weighs in my mind. But when I did like a 2-for-1 and at 2 separate destinations, I could get 12 jobs. Yeah. Everything is good. It is all good. It's all to the positive. I said in the intro that I managed to stream to Rumble. I did a live stream on Rumble. I have 3 subscribers there. One is Culture Thug, one is Virgil Doc, and one is one of Culture Thug's guys. So I have 3 subscribers. Woohoo! But it's a little bit different from just going straight to StreamYard. I got a little boomer techie with, I didn't understand you have to press go live on StreamYard, but then you don't go live. You have to go to the other tab you have open and then click go live on Rumble, and then you go live. And then to get off, there's the same thing. It's like a 2-step process. You end the stream on StreamYard, and then you end the stream on Rumble. So, and doing all that on the side of the road from a smartphone was not an impossible challenge, but I hadn't done it before. I kind of just stumbled my way through it. So, I'm not elegant at it yet, not efficient yet. But I suppose it will eventually get. I will eventually bring my Rumble channel up to the high quality standards of this, my YouTube channel. He says, tongue firmly in cheek. So, yeah, Friday night, I will mention, Friday night I went on to Culture Thug's Rumble stream, and I was in Philly. I actually went to Delaware, but there's no food in Delaware, so I said, fuck it. I'll just not eat for like another 3 hours. And I drove to Philly. By the time I got there, I got some food. Like Thug was on doing his show, and I mean, I'll just briefly summarize because I went over this on my Rumble stream. But I jumped on the stream. I went and I got my food. I'm sitting in my car, and I jumped on the stream. And at some point, I realized I'm on like on the side street uh, off of South Street, which is a strip of restaurants and bars and stuff. And I said, you know what? Let's go on like on a little walking tour. I took my phone. I went on a walking tour. There's a ton of cops there that night because they had a lot of problems with like motorcycle bros and those. They're not even real. There's like these trike. They're sort of not really a motorcycle. They're like a tricycle thing or a three-wheeler called the Can-Am Spider, which people like me, proper real motorcyclists who are pure and true and real Americans, look down our noses at them as crippled dudes who can't ride a real bike. Those things are popular in the hood. And then there's another thing that's bigger that looks like a car that's also a three-wheel thing called slingshots. And they put light kits on these things and super loud speakers and they annoy the fuck out of people. And then they put open exhausts because all these things are powered by motorcycle motors. So they put open pipes on them, and then they rev the nuts. They rev the engines like fucking crazy, and it annoys people. And of course, one of them does it. It triggers the next one, and back and forth. They do this over and over. And I guess a number of the locals complained, the local businesses complained. So the police were out mostly enforcing calm, although they got challenged once or twice by a small group that, the police didn't do anything about it. I was like, the police really didn't challenge them. They didn't even give them like down, like Brick calm it down. So there was a challenge there, but it wasn't a too big of a challenge, and the police mostly ignored it. But I went walking around up and down South Street at night, and you got homeless bums, you had some opium people, you had various different people, and I'm walking up and down the sidewalk showing all the head shops, and I did not realize that the Culture Thug smoked weed. I had no idea. Everybody knows how anti-pot I am. So I'm like, look at this horrible thing. Look, I'm holding the phone in my hand, like going to the window of a fucking head shop. We used to call them head shops, where they sell all the bongs, all the marijuana, smoking supplies, and paraphernalia. When I was a kid growing up, we called them head shops. I don't know if they're still head shops. But so I'm walking up and down and talking on stream, and I thought because his audience is some guys from Europe and London and stuff or whatever, and I thought it'd be fun to walk around. And it was kind of cool. He's watching a Brazilian jiu-jitsu match, some match, I don't know what it was. So he's watching that. We're chatting back and forth, and people are like, everybody's like, "You got weapons on you, right?" Because they see all the Indians are like, don't relax, never relax, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry, kids. I'm good. I'm good. And there's an army of cops out. So just walking up and down, and what I forgot to mention on that stream, I'll mention again. When I was on the stream with Thug, but in my post-Thug stream on my channel, I mentioned that there's like there's a tabletop gaming store there where you can play like Dungeons and Dragons, those tabletop games with the pencil and dice and stuff like from the role-playing games from like the 1980s for dorks. There's a store where adults do that. And you see these guys and a couple of females walking around that neighborhood, going to that store. It's called a Unicorn or something like that. And I always cringe when I see that. I'm like, oh fuck, they go into the store and it's like a well-lit store and you can see all the gaming supplies and different games, but they set up tables where adults can go play. Either like you can walk by the sidewalk and just look in and you can see them playing Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, or whatever games they're playing. I don't know what games they're playing. But I'm like, well, then you're fighting imaginary monsters and orcs on a piece of paper with some dice and a pencil. You're gonna walk out in these fucking streets when that store closes. There's real fucking orcs out there. But I forgot to mention that when it was on the street. But anyways, it was all in all a good time was had, and that's why I picked up my hate watcher. The guy called me that schizo dude because I did not say flattering things about fascism. And I read a definition of fascism online, which was that federal power and corporate power are united against Bolshevism. And I mentioned that historically, that's been what we like to call failure. That's been a failure. Uh, and these guys don't want to hear this; they lose their shit. But communism flourishes everywhere around the world. I ask you why. That's a rhetorical question. I ask you why there are openly communist political organizations on nearly every country around the face of the earth. A couple of maybe Middle Eastern countries, they're outlawed, but there's openly communist uh, political parties, whether they're large or small, popular or unpopular, they exist, right? And they have the right to legally exist everywhere throughout Europe. There's one in America now that's MAGA communism. Um, And my point to try to get across to the fascists that nobody really wants to do this 1924 fascist thing. Nobody wants cars from 1924. Nobody wants a house from 1924. There was no internet in 1924. You got to update your methodology. They don't want to hear that because that's now you deviated from the ideological purity. And I try to make an analogy of cars. Like I don't know what the first car Toyota sold in America was. Maybe it was like in the 1960s. But my car is not. My Toyota is not the same as the original Toyota that they sold in America. You know what I mean? It's a different car. It's a more sophisticated car. It's a different shape. It's got a different motor. It's got air conditioning, and the original one probably didn't. And my car has an automatic transmission, and the original one probably didn't. And you could sit there and go, well, James, you don't really drive a true Toyota because it's not exactly like this one from 1968. But nobody wants a 1968 car anymore. Nobody wants a car with AM radio only, uh, no power steering, no power brakes, a manual shift. Nobody wants that anymore. Because if people wanted that, they would buy it and that's what they would make. People don't want that shit. So they want power windows and they want all of whatever anti-lock brakes and all that stuff. And that's not the original. And my point, the point I was trying to get across to Doug and his audience, and they are just not fucking hearing it, is your brand of your solutions are 100 years old. They didn't work 100 years ago. Sure as fuck are not going to work today, and nobody wants to hear it. But of course, that makes me some sort of a bad person. That makes me a bad non-fascist person. And so I'm double plus ungood in the eyes of the people who are considered double plus ungood. And when I ask a simple question like, how come there's no fascist nation state? There's no nation state on the face of this earth that calls itself fascist, and there are no openly fascist political organizations anywhere on the face of the earth. And if you ask that question, again, they go nuts because, again, they don't want to be confronted with the cognitive dissonance, right? What they think in their heads versus what the outside world is. And, I don't think I'm ever going to convince them that I try to work it towards the economic argument for defeating the communists, but I couldn't. Like I could get no traction. Like it was like trying to push it. I'm just pushing a rock up the hill, and I push it one or two steps, and as soon as I let off the gas, it rolls right back on top. So not going to work. All my ideas going over, like I said, like lead balloons. But I tried, and I had some fun doing it when I was on the stream with Doug. And like I said, I picked up a hate viewer, so it's almost a 14-year-old kid who, is living in his parents' house and just thinks, oh, if only grandma knew that I loved Adolf Hitler, her head would explode. And it would be funny to watch my grandmother die of a stroke. That's how fucking, nightmarishly scumbag these kids are. And so that's where they all this nonsense. And then, of course, there's some feds, of course, always trying to push emotionally unstable people into doing things that will give the powers that be the authority to burn the Constitution. So anyway, And I just noticed, like right before I clicked go live, I'm like, you know, I'll try this next time I talk to Doug, which might be this Friday, might not be. It's going to depend on work, going to depend on a couple of things. But I will. Here's a concept. Here's an idea. You know, reverse the whole thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's reverse it. But I can't remember what I called this. Reversing the effects. That's what I called tonight's stream. Look at what communism is, and then just say we're the opposite. Like here's what we are. Where the communism puts you in a gulag. We'll never put you in a gulag. Communism tells you what job you have to get. We will never tell you what job you have to get. Communism, you don't own a house. In our system, you do get to own a house. In communism, you whatever, you know what I mean? You're forced to do stoop labor. In our system, you're not going to do stoop labor. If you pitched fascism, you'd have to call it something else. But if you pitched your ideas as the opposite of communism, the opposite of the gig economy, right? Because Trump is like 100%. He's like, no tax on tips. Middle class waitresses will not have to worry about, and Uber drivers would have to worry about the tax on their tips. And I'm like, that's middle class? A fucking waitress and an Uber driver? Bartender is now middle class in America? Are you fucking kidding me? You know, but whatever, Trump's going to get away with it, and people are going to cheer. Yes, no tax on tips. Nobody has money to tip, and most people are too fucking cheap anyway. But all that aside, if you really think that all this economy needs, all the American economy needs, really, is to just, we could just stop taxing those waitresses, we could have a fucking economic utopia. Like, you should be smacked in the fucking head for daring to say that. Like, anybody who says that unironically, who's not like a fucking comedian on stage, should literally be fucking corrected in the most direct way possible. I want to be careful. I don't want to be at all Fed posting. I want to be 0% Fed posting. But you aren't going to do that because you have to. There's a weird kind of, normies who've noticed elite power, right? They think, oh, I'm a fascist, or I'm this, or I'm that. You're still just a fucking normie. Like, from my point of view as a Bitcoiner, you're still a fucking normie. Because you're just thinking, oh, give me and my friends the keys to the money printer, and then we'll do it right. You didn't do it right. You didn't do it. You didn't hold off communism. Fascism failed. All these other systems failed. You know what I mean? And why you continue to repeat failure, right? With the retarded belief that that it's gonna lead to success. Oh, we did this last time and it failed, but if we just do it harder with more unity, then we'll this time it'll work, because we only had 87% unity. But if we can get the unity level up to 94%, then this time we'll win. That's not how it works, you dumb fucks. You're doing it wrong. You're never gonna win. They've beaten you everywhere around the fucking planet. There's like communist parties everywhere, fascist parties nowhere. You can be openly communist, even in America. I'm a MAGA communist. You can't be a MAGA fascist, although they're calling Trump a fascist, and most people call him that don't even know what fascism is. The definition that I'm using for fascism is the federal power or national power combined with corporate power to oppose Bolshevism. It has to be called historically a failure because it has failed. And I'm not interested, like I said, in your shitty fucking ideas, right? Which have failed. It doesn't, part of it is me getting older. Part of me is, just having run through all this shit. I'm not interested in ideas that don't work. I'm not interested in shit that doesn't work. I want shit that works and nothing else. I don't have time to fucking waste with your fantasies and your fucking daydreams. And if everyone took that fucking approach, shit would change. Shit would change real fucking fast. But that's not something that most people are going to enforce. You're just going to allow yourself to be fucking led. You're just going to allow yourself to be led from wherever the fuck you are to wherever they want you to go. You're going to be dragged along by some fucking grifter, some con man into some stupid shit, and he'll pick your pockets before he tosses you the comments. Even though there's evidence, I got the evidence right here that the people united will never drink Starbucks again. But Starbucks is now changing CEOs because the boycott is just smashing the fuck out of it, which is great. You know, Starbucks in big trouble. Also, McDonald's in big trouble. You know what I mean? So this is all good. And this is not, nobody called for unity. People just said, hey, do you see what they're doing? They support Israel. You know, if you're pro-genocide, go have a cup of Starbucks. Not, go get your coffee elsewhere. You know what I mean? Go get your coffee elsewhere and just fuck those people. And it works. And it doesn't have to be continually enforced. And it's one of those things where once you start doing it, it's just easier to do. You don't go to Starbucks at all anymore. You haven't done it for a week, a month, 6 months, a year. You'll have an alternative and you'll never go back there. No matter what Starbucks does, you'll probably never go back. Because once that habit is broken, it's broken. And that's the sort of thing none of these people ever get. They never, ever get, because they think everything's going to change like that overnight, and it's all going to go. It's going to go flip. Hey presto, from this to that. You know, change is incremental, right? Lasting change is incremental. It isn't. It's not like just flipping a switch. Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, welcome to the show, sir. So the fact that people with relatively little indoctrination can make their unhappiness felt on an elite operation, which is Starbucks, shows you that you're not entirely powerless, but you have to do it yourself. Like the idea that you're just going to sit back and somebody's going to come and do it for you, which is fucking crazy. And for these, let's try the shit that failed 100 years ago, people, you know, the plan I just outlined of look at what communism is and literally just reverse communism, turn communism on its head, and then whatever that definition of those things are, that's what we are. Okay, no private property in communism. In our system, you get private property. No, whatever, you know, like you're forced to take a job you don't want under communism, or have a career you don't want under communism, or live where you don't want under communism. Our system, you live wherever you want, do whatever kind of work you want. If you continually pitched it in that way, people would respond to that. People would go, yeah, I do want to pick my own job. Yeah, I do want to pick where I live. Yeah, I'd like to have, you know, my own fucking home. I don't want to be moved around like a fucking animal in a cage, depending on where my handler wants me to be. If you consistently pitch that, you could take your shitty 100-year-old fascist ideas, right? Revamp them, make them better, and then you know, put them out there. I would call them something else. I wouldn't call them fascism, but you know, the problem is none of these suggestions, all which are good suggestions, are ever going to fucking come to fruition because these guys are all true believers, you know? And it's more fun to be a purist who does nothing than to be someone who's less than perfect doing something, right? So, you know, is anyone stopping genocide in the Middle East? No, but we can fucking shut down Starbucks. We can make that fucking shit part of business. Is it going to change history? A little bit, you know. Taking your economic energy from their fucking from their operations is a way bigger fucking deal than you think, because they're doing what they want for their reasons. They're 100% doing what benefits them for their own reasons. I looked at this and I remember seeing this. I was like, what the fuck? But the U.S. government is now done. I don't know who has the power to just squeeze the federal government to just make it give up, you know, this puddle of Bitcoin that it has. But the Chinese are now definitely ahead of us in terms of the Chinese government has more Bitcoin than America. And it doesn't seem like that's going to change. And when I look at that, I think to myself, doesn't Larry Fink and his BlackRock buddies, don't they want the U.S. government to exist more or less in its current form so that they can use it, you know, for their own purposes in the future? Or do they, maybe they just think that they're gonna fucking, they'll just surf to the next thing like that. What's that pirate movie? The Pirates of the Caribbean. Johnny Depp. It's like he's a drunken pirate dude or whatever, and there's something with the fucking boat is sinking, like the boat's sinking, and he climbs up higher and higher on the mast, and the boat's sinking. It's getting closer to the dock, but it's sinking, and just as the part of the mast, the crow's nest, or whatever the fuck he's on, just as it's about to go under, that gets right near the fucking dock, and he steps right off, steps out of the crow's nest onto the dock and just walks casually, you know, like he's a crazy drunk pirate dude, and la-di-da, so the ship sank, and off he goes. Maybe Larry Fink and his BlackRock buddies think they're going to do that. Like the United States is just going to go, it's going to go right before it goes under. They're going to step onto whatever the next thing is. Perhaps they think that's going to happen, or perhaps I don't think it's going to sink at all. But, you know, I don't think it's going to go that way. A lot of these people, I don't really think understand. Like I said, because they're normies. You know what I mean? Normie good guys or normie bad guys are still normies. You know what I mean? Having not thought it through, having not thought about, everybody just chases money, right? Everybody just, they lie, they cheat, they steal, do all sorts of things. They don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? Something like this, people see this and they think it's profound, but and this is a joke, it's a cartoon, but it's not really that much of a joke because it points at the problem, not the solution, but it points at the problem. And it's a problem so a problem so difficult and intractable that He-Man himself doesn't dare touch it.
Remember, you have to make $246,000 in 2024 to afford the same lifestyle as your parents who made $80,000 in 1990. Until we meet again!
So that's the Skeletor meme. There's a lot of those Skeletor memes. But the idea that you have to make 4 times the income your parents did to enjoy the same lifestyle, that's, people feel that. You know, making it a dumb cartoon with the skeleton guy, you know, the reason why that meme gets passed around is because it kind of resonates a little bit with people, and that's what, if you were truly opposed to communism, you would do. You would look to stuff like that, and then you would. I got a couple of more clips. And you should pitch your ideas and your complaints the way comedians do. 1, because you'd be more lighthearted about it. 2, you would actually make people like you if you were funny. Here's a guy, this is like 35 seconds of some dude. I just came across my feed on Instagram, but this is arguably the target demographic. What this guy's talking about is the target demographic that you should be trying to reach, and you aren't. You're talking to weirdo dorks.
Are you comfortable working in a fast-paced environment? You mean a poorly managed one? Am I at work or is Tom Cruise chasing me across a rooftop? Fast-paced environment, that's corporate speak for please work here. Everybody keeps quitting because the owner's emotionally abusive. Things move fast here. No, they move fast in the Love Island villa. We're inside a Kohl's. The translation is this: we need you to do 15 different jobs while only getting paid for one. Oh yeah, because I'm a Swiss Army knife. I'm multi-talented and completely unable to have a retirement account. I've got more rants like that in my book. The Customer's Always Wrong comes out September 10th. Pre-order for a signed copy. Is the title backwards?
So that's Comedian Bro. He's got a book. I wish him the best. The more stuff he does like that, the more likely he is to be successful. I'm not saying, and someone smarter than him who's not overtly a comedian, although who knows? We're gonna have a president who's a fucking a reality TV star, so why can't you have somebody who's a stand-up comedian making policy? You can't, but whatever. This kind of stuff goes over that 37-second video. More people will go, yeah, I get that, because they work in a crappy warehouse or something that whatever their job is, they're asked to do multiple different tasks, which should give them, a comfortable income and a shot at retirement. But that's a crappy minimum wage or double minimum wage job that barely lets them get by. That's a message everybody hears, and the number of people that are affected by it would listen to other things you have to say. But if you're not talking to them about their concerns, like I said, nobody gives a shit about your lousy fucking ideas. Nobody gives a shit, you fucking dork. Just materially improve people's lives. I made the joke. I said that Adolf Hitler and Oprah Winfrey did the same thing. They both offered people cars. Oprah Winfrey said, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. And Adolf Hitler said, I'll give everybody a Volkswagen. I mean, Hitler said it first, but he said, I'll give you a Volkswagen. And the implication was, I will make you materially more wealthy, because most people didn't have cars back then. And you'll have the leisure time to go drive your Volkswagen around fucking wherever the fuck they drive. In Germany, to take it zooming up and down the Autobahn. The promise was greater material prosperity. Didn't quite go over because nobody trusted him, because he was a loon. But he actually did manage to pull it off by ending usury, ending debt slavery in Germany, and the economy boomed in Germany while everyone else was in depression. That's the easy part. It turns out that's the fucking relatively easy part. Legally, it's easy. Psychologically, it's difficult, because all these people at the top don't really give a flying fuck, like not at all, not even for their place in the history books. So, and that's why putting your faith in an individual has led to all of these individuals failing. Not one of them has successfully overcome communism. There's no nation state on the face of the earth where communism is outlawed. Like, that doesn't exist. They control the earth for a fucking reason. And the reason why is because it is the favorite political ideology of the bankers, people who print money from thin air, right?
We print it digitally, so.
Yeah, we know, Jerome. Jerome, we know. I just said that, Jerome. Right? So stop that. You just jump into my fucking stream and say shit. The reason why communism exists at all is because the bankers want it to exist. The reason why it's in every country all over the world is because that's what they want. People who print the fucking money want it. And it's fairly easy. That's easy to talk about. You don't come off like a lunatic. And you could get a lot of mileage out of that if you had a living brain cell in your head. But you'd have to go out and actually do the work, like actually thinking, okay, how do we reverse communism? How do we create prosperity? How is that actually done? And what problems are we going to face, and then how do we overcome them? That's the shitty hard job that the leaders never want to do. They just want to get up there like Trump. The reason why Trump's brilliant is because he just gets up there, says some stupid shit, not even on fucking topic, and everybody cheers and goes away because nobody believes that anybody's going to do anything anyway. Yeah, vaguely he's going to do something, and his supporters all support him. I mean, it'll eventually get to the point where you literally will have a stand-up comedian up there promising you shit. But the fact is, none of them really want to do anything other than make them and their friends rich and get hold of the money printer, or at least get closer to the money printer, and be pals with the guys running the money printer, so that they can have whatever they want for as long as they want forever. And here's another stand-up comedian. This guy's English. You want to talk about this? this is in a way, if you meditate on what this guy's jokes here, a little bit dark, but pretty much hits the mark.
If I do my job. If I do my job really well, all that happens is that the billionaire who owns EasyJet gives a tiny amount of his money to the billionaire who owns me. And then at the end of the month, my billionaire gives me the tiniest fraction of that money so that I can give it to the millionaire who owns my house. That's the system. That's the system we're all living in. Good system. It's a good system. Because there's fun in the system as well. It's not all work, because obviously when you get your money from your billionaire, you have to pay the other billionaires, the energy billionaire, the tax billionaire, the insurance billionaire. You have to make sure all your billionaires are paid. But if you've got a bit of money left over after you've paid your billionaires, that's yours, baby. You can spend that on whatever you like. I'm a big football fan, so I like to watch football. For those who don't know how football works, there's this billionaire, but he's different because he owns like a group of millionaires. And so when I've got money from my billionaire and I've paid my other billionaires, I can then save up a little bit, give it to that billionaire, and the next time his millionaires play a game, I can watch. Pretty good. Pretty good.
So, you can hear the audience is eating it up because they know it's true. They hadn't heard it stated like that before. And that guy turned a very dark and sarcastic observation into a pretty good set there. Pretty good set of jokes. But, argue with that, there is no argument with that. And that is a fairly astute observation of how most of us live, one way or another, and you have to fight against that, And we live in a world. I got a fucking video when I went to Philly on Friday, speaking to Trump and billionaires and people who are representing themselves as something they are not. I saw this. This was a little. When I say this video is dark, I don't mean it's depressing or sad or scary. I mean, I held the phone out of my fucking car window to show this guy. But when I saw this, I'm like, well, man, this is so 2024. I don't know where to begin. It's a short video. It's like 31 seconds. But this is off of the Columbus Avenue exit on 95. I think is exit 20 northbound. If you're going north through Philadelphia towards New Jersey, towards New York, it's exit 20 on Columbus Avenue.
I wonder how well you can read that sign. It says Trump it 2024. The guy has his Instagram at homelessbum100, a PayPal and a Venmo, and there's his bicycle up against the wall. I'm in Philly tonight.
South Christopher Columbus Boulevard, then take the first one.
And it's the homeless in Philadelphia are Trump supporters with social media accounts. That's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Yeah, so I actually went on Instagram to homelessbum100, and you can see the guys. He's like some retired dude. He's really well fed. His skin's in great shape. His teeth are perfect. He must live in the area. He has a bicycle there that I guess he rides home. But he has a PayPal and a Venmo, and you can send him free money in addition to whatever the fuck he's managed to pile up. And he's a homeless Trump supporter, like just on the side of the road, and the Columbus. Like I said, it was a Columbus Avenue exit in Philadelphia. And this is how 2024 is that. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what 2027 or 2028 is going to look like, but me knowing that the homeless bum is not really a homeless bum, he's just some dude who wants fucking a tax cut for his fucking Roth IRA, which is probably 10x fucking larger than you think it is. Yeah, that's where we fucking live. Like, I'll pretend to be homeless, and that will convince people that I'm authentic and that, you know, Donald Trump needs to be fucking president. But, you know, some people know that it's all fucking bullshit. Some people know that it doesn't make a difference.
I find it absolutely hilarious when people are like, Trump versus Biden or this person versus. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. They're not the people who make the decisions anyways. Yeah. It's the people who control the money. Yeah. And the people who control the money are the central banks. Yeah. And guess who owns the central banks? Because it's not the government.
Guess who owns the central banks? Because it's not the government. And that is, as simple of a message as that is, it's really hard to get across because people just do dumb stuff. They just do dumb stuff. I got, here's, you know, in terms of like watch what they do and not what they say, I thought this was interesting, right? The Central Bank of Norway and Switzerland disclosed a massive MicroStrategy holding. MicroStrategy is that Michael Saylor company. They're the first publicly traded company in America that went big on Bitcoin and blah, 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 blah. So the central banks in Norway and Switzerland cannot just easily, they can't just buy Bitcoin. They just can't do that for 100 different reasons. So what they do is instead they bought the stock of MicroStrategy, and a lot of people have done this because they want access to Bitcoin and the upside that Bitcoin has for them. And these are those central banks trying to fucking parasite or, you know, whatever. They're trying to keep themselves afloat off of as close as they can get to actually owning Bitcoin. And it's stories like that don't seem sexy and exciting, but they point to a much bigger fucking issue if you can just understand, if you can look at the correct fucking information and draw the right conclusions from it. But that's impossible when you're looking at the world through the lens of a fascist or through the lens of a whatever. If you drop all that shit and just say what works and what doesn't fucking work, what works and what doesn't work, you'd be so much better off. But, you know, then your identity has to be a practicality bro who gets shit done. That is probably what you're not comfortable with. You know what I mean? You're probably not that comfortable with. But as a goal, right? This goal, right? Your happiness, right? Should depend as little as possible on external causes. This is a quote from a Greek philosopher named Epictetus, who lived around the time of Socrates and Aristotle and all those guys. He's, you know, from that era. But even back then, you know, understanding that whatever your happiness is, and he's not talking about like dying, starving, and homeless, because that was certainly a real possibility thousands of years ago. But if you're really going to be happy, you know, you can't worry about other people's opinions, and if other people's decisions should not affect your ability to directly experience happiness. And figuring out what that puzzle looks like back, obviously, when that quote was fresh, is different from today, but maybe not so different as you might think. Maybe not so different as you might think. But it's the onus, the burden is on you. And, you know, when I see stuff like, when I think about Culture Thug and him smoking weed and people smoking weed, like you could save so much fiat. You could save so many dollars, so many paper coupons. All you do is read the fucking news, and it makes you feel like you're high. It makes you feel like you're stoned. It makes you feel like you're perceiving the world in a completely bizarre fashion. This just fucking popped up in my fucking Google feed. Like this showed up, and I'm like, I look at this and I think, is Google fucking, like, is there some algorithm that has AI writing these insane fucking news articles, these headlines like deliberately to fuck with. But it's not. It's just this crazy. It's just a crazy world that we live in, and the world's only going to get crazier. So the story is NFL star Chris Jones offers to pay for $1.5 million worth of stolen chicken wings after a cafeteria worker is sentenced. My fate is in God's hands, Vera Liddell told the lawyer shortly before the Kansas City Chiefs defensive tackle tweeted this offer. So, as a sports ball player for the Kansas City Chiefs, found out some cafeteria worker during COVID stole $1.5 million worth of chicken. Everybody involved in this story is black, and you think, no, you can't. Like who fucking wrote this? Like who wrote this? No fucking way. And then like you think, oh, that's fucking insane. But there's that twist. It's not complete. It's not complete without this ending. As you scroll down and read further, it says the chicken wings were intended for underprivileged children receiving free lunches during the pandemic shutdown. Now, you could argue one way or another if the SNAP and EBT crowd is really starving or whatever. But it's like, you got caught stealing food from underprivileged children. But because your skin color is the same as my skin color, I'm going to pony up, the retail cost of to the person you stole from in order to keep you from going to jail. That's how fucking twisted shit is. And the fascist crowd, the white supremacist crowd is just as retarded. They just don't have a checking account as big as that football player. They keep expecting that people like me or somebody somewhere will do some work, will provide services or produce goods of value, make a profit, make money, right? Federal Reserve notes, whatever you want to call it, make money, and then after they pay all their expenses and whatever, feed their family, their wife and their kids, that they'll go, gee, I don't need this stack of money for my retirement or any emergency situation. I'll give it to that person over there who thinks that Hitler was the good guy in World War II. And they don't understand, well, why don't people do that? Because nobody who works with their fucking money is just randomly going to give it away to someone who just shouts slogans. Shouting a slogan that's similar to or the same as what I prefer to believe, it's not worth that much money. It's actually worth $0 fucking dollars. So, but the movement people, we're going to have a movement and we're going to name the Jew and we're going to do this and that. Naming the Jew doesn't do anything. Naming the Jew, gets you fucking nowhere, right? It gets you ostracized. People flinch. None of that works, because if it worked, there would be fascist parties. There would be a fascist party of America that would be just as popular as the MAGA communists. But there isn't. Except you can't accept that. You cannot accept that fact because you live in a world where, ideology uber alles. My ideas are over everything, rather than think what fucking works. What works, what works, what works. And that's something that that a lot of people can't wrap their heads around. This weekend passed, by the way, the King of Africa, the newly crowned, second time crowned King of Africa, Druscus du Plessis. You might know, probably might not have even heard of him. He's from South Africa. He did his second title defense against Israel Adesanya, who's, I guess he's American, really. Adesanya might have some family roots in Nigeria. But I remember Israel Adesanya, who's the black dude. I'll show you in a minute. Back during the Jeffrey Epstein days, was like, when the Epstein thing just seemed to start to go away, he was at some press conference, like a UFC press conference, and he just out of nowhere he goes, "So what, are you just gonna let them just keep fucking little kids?" And I was like, I was shocked to hear somebody like that say something like that at one of these press conferences. And I was like, holy shit, that guy's got balls. I was like, he just ended his fucking career, but man, he's got fucking courage. But he was popular at the time, and they took him and they changed him entirely. They got him, he paints his fingernails now. He claims he masturbates his own dog, all kinds of like crazy shit. They just co-opted him. They said, listen, Israel, if you don't want to die starving and fucking homeless, you're going to go intersex, transgender, whack job, or else we're never going to let you fight in the UFC again. Well, this dude from Africa, a real African, a white South African guy, who's like the top MMA fighter in Africa. He's from South Africa. The guy's name is Druscus du Plessis. Called himself the King of Africa because he beat all the black MMA fighters in Africa. So, and then Adesanya got pissed about this and actually came into the ring after one of du Plessis' fight. And he's like, yo, Negro this and you Negro that and blah, 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 blah. And I'm the real, I'm the real African and you're fake and whatever. And it was a really poor sportsmanship. This guy didn't belong in the octagon after the bout. Like he just, whatever, he got triggered by this guy calling himself the King of Africa. So, they're gonna fight. They're gonna fight. They fought. Du Plessis won. Then Du Plessis beat a white guy who's just as much as a crybaby as Adesanya, but he doesn't have the racial angle. A guy named Sean Strickland. And then this Saturday passed. They met again. Druscus du Plessis fighting in Africa to defend his title against Israel Adesanya, who they fucking bulked him up. I'm sure this motherfucker was on roids. He was bulked up like fucking. They did everything they could to make Adesanya win, but it didn't work out. And you could tell from the pre-fight press conference where Druscus made him cry. But here's 1 minute and 41 seconds of fight highlights of a fight that lasted 4 rounds and crowned the King of Africa, or the King of Africa, kept his crown by doing what his opponent, by doing whatever fucking worked. That is my point. Check this out.
Israel Adesanya versus DDP for the middleweight UFC title was a spectacular bout. Going into round number 1, we see Adesanya maintain range with great stance switching and backing up very, very quick. He does get tagged a couple times, but ultimately does a nice job attacking the body and maintaining that range. Nice body attacks, really trying to slow down Dricus. In round number 2, we see the successful takedown from Dricus and then smothers Adesanya for much of the round with a submission attempt that was unsuccessful. As we move into round number 3, we see the pace just pushing and pushing from Dricus, but Adesanya still attacking the body, staying on him. Nice spinning elbow right there. There's so much variety in the attacks and such different styles, but as the fight progresses, they just choose to stand and fight. The pace of Dricus is spectacular, but he does start to fade from those body attacks, and the uppercuts of Adesanya start to find a home. But as the fight wears on in round number 4, Dricus' pressure is overwhelming. He takes the back and gets the submission to finish the fight.
So I listened to that. There was like a live stream. They didn't show it, but the guy was doing color commentary, and it sounded like Adesanya was winning that fight. Like he won the first round, Dricus won the second round, but Adesanya won the third round, and I'm like, fuck, how's this guy gonna fucking win it? But you can see that styles make fights, and that Adesanya, the black dude, he's keeping his opponent at long range. He's got longer arms and legs. He's beating this guy's body down. And this dude, Driscus, he has a sinus issue. He can't breathe through his nose. He breathes through his mouth, which is usually like death sentence for combat sports athletes. But this guy, he sometimes looks like he gasses out, and then he just fucking recharges. Like it goes from 0 battery to 100%, and wails away like a fucking psycho. Just punch after punch after punch. He's driving forward. His fucking chin is out, and he's like swinging for the fucking fences, and it's crazy chaotic and super violent. And if he catches you, and this guy has monster fucking power, you're going to drop. And eventually he caught Adesanya a couple of times and stunned Adesanya's brain, and then he took it down and choked him out. But I listened to the pre-fight press conference they did with Driscus, and when you hear the guy speak, he's a really thoughtful guy. He's much smarter than he might appear. And, him and his team, they just look at this is a profession. He says, listen, we're professional fighters. We fight for people's entertainment. We have to sell tickets in the arena and pay-per-views. He said, and they asked him, like, well, what are you going to do to Adesanya to fucking find the holes in his game? And he said, let's be honest. He said, we're at the top. We're at the apex of the combat sports, mixed martial arts world. He said, nobody has a hole in the game. Nobody's terrible at this. Everybody's good at everything. He said, what you've got to do is pressure your opponent into making a mistake in the areas where he's slightly weaker than you. And that's how you win. And that's exactly what Driscus did. It looked like he was getting his ass kicked, and who knows? He might have got his ass kicked, but he's such a fucking insane fucking animal that he keeps driving forward into his fucking opponent, and he's got a rock solid chin. He doesn't get knocked out. And once Driscus gets his fucking arms around you, you're pretty much done. Like this guy's supposed to be like strong as a fucking alligator. Anyway, very good fight. Dramatically different styles, right? Adesanya, cool, standoffish, precision striker, blah 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 blah, and Driscus, the wild animal who fucking smells blood and wants to kill you. It made for an exciting and dramatic fight. The correct fighter won, as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of people don't like Adesanya since he went to painting his nails and masturbating his dog. They don't like him anymore. So the number of people in the comments, I was reading the comments at various different videos. A lot of people are very happy that Adesanya lost, which is very weird because he's the American. The people are now cheering for American fighters to lose to foreign fighters. And the skin color issue is wrong, but doesn't matter because people they like honest, humble champions, not dudes who paint their fingernails and masturbate their fucking dogs. So, you live in a world where a lot of incredibly unfair fucking shit happens, and even smart people, super smarty pants, who are close to opportunity, because opportunity doesn't really exist in America. It only exists for a very small number of people. But even those people now are getting fucked. This is like a great story about this. To me, in my mind, fits in with the AI and the tech stuff and the coming dramatic changes that AI is going to drive in a culture, because the highly educated, high IQ crowd is about to get their fucking shit pushed in. Got a 58-second video of a dude. This is like he's a tech bro, and he's gonna give you a little insight into the reality of of the new economy in America.
She was sleeping with the CEO of Google for $100 million. This is the story of my second layoff that I haven't shared for the past year and a half. And this situation made it to Forbes. Fresh off my last layoff, I got an offer from a small startup. Little did I know the mess that I was walking into. The first few months were super fun. Then the trouble started to hit. I found out that the CEO of the incubator never had a full-time job after school before this. What I failed to find out is that she's in this position is because she was sleeping with the ex-CEO of Google. The state of my job was dependent on the sugar baby relationship. I was a lowly pawn in a game of chess. Things started to really go downhill. We get this cryptic email saying our jobs are going to be safe, but we're going to be switched to different teams. And guess what we found out through the grapevine? She had been lying to the ex-CEO of Google that all of these startups were profitable, when none of them were. So things immediately started to implode. And 2 weeks later, we all got laid off. Never work for a founder who is sleeping with the investor. Follow for more tech stories.
So, right, you can see a bunch of different things. You got rich old dude getting some fucking pussy, right? That he would never get in a million years if he wasn't rich old dude. And then the females out there, obviously that one was slick enough to go, oh, I'm going to start up and found all these businesses and you can fund it and whatever. And God knows how much fucking money stuck to her fingers that passed through from Google to these startups, right? And this guy says, like, oh, I'm a pawn in this. Well, dude, you wouldn't even got that fucking job if you weren't already like hooked into that social network to a certain degree, because I never get offers like that. You know what I mean? My second layoff, you know, he still probably lives in a fucking $600,000 house on the fucking lake. You know what I mean? I doubt he's applying for fucking food stamps. But, you know, he's like, oh, this thing that I was in, and it was in Forbes, and it was a big splashy thing. These super wealthy people are really dumb. They're super soft. They can be easily manipulated one way or another. That's why there's layers and layers of lawyers and fucking accountants and shit to keep you away from them, because the wealth that they have accumulated, they didn't really fucking earn, and they'll give it away to, you know, either, you know, in this case it was a female, but I'm sure that, you know, like Sam Altman from AI, the gay guy who runs AI, I guarantee you there's a bunch of super rich homos who spent time with fucking Sam Altman and funded all of his shit. This is the world you live in. Like, these are the people that they get in the news and they're in the history books and blah, 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 blah. And they're making decisions that affect a lot of people. This guy was, all right, in this story, was just a dude in a little startup company, but that same element runs fucking Google and YouTube and all these big fucking outfits. Like, and you are subject to the whims of people who are narcissistic and extremely privileged, and that's not going to go well for you. So when you see this quote, when you see the Epictetus quote that your happiness should depend as little as possible on external causes, what that means is you better not depend on these fucking people, because they're a bunch of sick fucking degenerates. They're a bunch of sick degenerates. And it's gonna go badly, you know. For me, you know, the Bitcoin people are just, they're getting it, but it's kind of like slowly, like it's slowly. I wish they would go faster, but you know, they're going at the speed they're going, but at least they're kind of crawling towards the truth. Here's a dude, I don't even know who the fuck this guy is, but it's the seriousness of what's occurring. This guy sort of understands it, and it's the same message. This is basically the same thing I'm saying, but this is a smarter guy, you know, from a higher up social class, coming to similar conclusions that I've come to.
There's a mechanism of horror and death that our money directly contributes to, and we have no democratic process to actually resist it. And furthermore, when we do try to resist it, we're criminalized. And one of the key points that they pointed out in the Nuremberg trials was that all citizens everywhere should have the right to resist unjust wars according to if they're murdering people outside of the legislative context. Like, it is fucking crazy to think that each of us are held captive to pay into this war machine. And to me, that's what Bitcoin has always represented, is that I can actually say no now. And yeah, maybe they can lock me up or do whatever they want, but they can't have my money.
They can't have my money. So that guy, you can hear he's obviously a little bit choked up, a little bit passionate, but yeah, we're locked into this fucking war machine. We're funding the genocide of people who never hurt us or threatened us or did anything to us. And there's nothing we can do democratically to change that, because money is above politics. Money is above every form of human governance ever devised. There is no form of human governance, even the faggoty shit you love, that is greater than, stronger than, able to resist the siren song of enormous wealth, of money, of incentive. Right? That system has not been invented yet and will never be invented. All we can do as individuals, what this guy's figured out, is that he can buy Bitcoin and take his economic energy, his work, the value of what he does for a living, take it away from the central bankers and store it in a form that they can't steal and they can't use to fund these fucking wars that serve them and cost us. Fairly fucking simple. This is the only thing you can really do, right? Anything else you do is a LARP. It's bullshit. It's some fantasy thing. You might as well be with those people in Philadelphia playing Dungeons and Dragons. You know, get out your fucking magical sword and kill the fucking, that's all bullshit, right? Remove your economic energy from the system that you despise, right? From this communistical system. That is the best thing you can do. The only thing you as an individual can really do. And by doing that, you will bring the day that fiat currency and central banking end, and the people who run fiat currency and central banking end. You will bring that day closer. Now, you may think, well, it's not going to be Bitcoin. It's going to be some other thing. Yeah, you're probably full of shit. You have this moment here and now to do what you need to do. And it's up to you to do it. And only you know if you're doing it, and if you have to decide how committed to this you are. But you're not doing something stupid like asking people, random dudes like fucking homeless bum 100 to fucking send you free money, while you're retired, sitting on the side of the highway. By the way, that guy's right. The homeless bum 100. If you come off that ramp and turn right during the daytime, not at night, you can go to this place called John's Roast Pork in fucking Philly. Totally worth going to. Yeah, if you don't withdraw your energy from a fucking system that you hate, that was designed to fucking keep you a slave forever, then whatever, you're bullshitting yourself. You're coping. Oh no, the Jews are going to give us the keys to the money printer, and then we're going to use that money to overthrow them, and you're in some fucking delusional fantasy land. You know what I mean? Enjoy your fucking edible marijuana or your fucking mushrooms or whatever hallucinogenic shit you're on, because that ain't never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I think this is my last video. It's my last video? It's not my last video, but we're getting close because I'm already past an hour. I meant to do this for the longest time, and I fucked this up, the narration at the end, but this is where I go, like, I don't know how many fucking times I've been here. This is what I see as the pleb of plebs, am forced to serve the 1%ers this is where they have. I should have done this video differently, but again, me being too spontaneous, not thinking it through, not setting it up correctly. That's the nature of how I do shit. I guess that's why I do the things I do. But I got some more clear thoughts on this video on the other side of it. So come on, let's hop in the car. Let's ride the golden ticket down to Dulles, Virginia.
All right, guys, this is the video. The only snacks left in Dulles. You get these, and then they have some cinnamon cookies and stuff. These are coffee machines, Lavazza coffee machines. So I'm taking the Cook candy bar, a couple of baby waters, and I just look around. They got some vending machines for, you see pilots and stuff eating here. Those tables by the window are where the limo guys usually hang out. And then you got the entire jet lounge. But you have these two TVs, and one always has the stock market, and then the other one usually has entertainment or politics. But I'm in here at this place probably at least as much as I am home.
All right, I'm not there as much as I am home. I spend more time getting there and back than I spend here. But that's where I deliver to in Dulles all the time. And so there's a couple of things. Those little Nutri-Grain, fruit-filled, whatever. It's a fucking candy bar. You know what I mean? You have those. Sometimes they have pop chips, which is like a tortilla chip, but it's made out of popcorn. But that's never around. The limo guys gobble this shit up. And then they have these little cinnamon cookies, which are pretty good. The Lavazza coffee machines. The Lavazza coffee is shit. Like Lavazza is a great coffee brand from Italy, and I don't know what the fuck they're putting in those machines because it's crap. The only thing you can drink, I have learned, is you make a mochaccino. You mix the coffee with hot chocolate. And over in that little corner where I got the little snack from is, this is the smart thing to do. You take the cup from the fucking stack, you put some 1 or 2 little plastic cups of half and half in there, then you brew the coffee on top of that, because whatever the machine says it's going to put milk in or whatever, I don't know what the fuck, it's going to put some cloudy water into that fucking drink, but it's not going to be milk. So you use the little packets of half and half. They got various different teas, Chinese tea, black tea, Earl Grey, whatever. That area of tables, the pilots sit there and eat. That's not really the pilot's lounge. There's actually, believe it or not, in that building, there's an elevator that goes like half a floor up. There's technically a pilot's lounge separate from that, but those guys never do that. They just don't give a shit. They eat there, and some females. There's some female pilots as well. They eat those tables out of those vending machines, which have like, they have like salads and stuff, but it's the same thing like you would get at a McDonald's salad or any sort of fast food, artificially, chemically brightened lettuce. Like the lettuce stays green and it looks fresh, even though it has that weird chemical taste. That kind of stuff. They eat stuff like that, and then when the Uber car comes out of those doors, they go get the Uber driver. When I pointed the camera down the hallway, there's a bunch of leather couches. There's actually more TVs down there. Office of Homeland Security in the front desk. And I walk in there all the way down to the front desk. I sign in the whatever part I'm dropping off. I put it in the mail room, which I show, and then I leave. You know what I mean? I get it. If there's a cookie or a snack or whatever, like, I'll grab that on the way out, or get a coffee, and then get in my car and drive back. So that's when I say I'm going to Dulles, that's where I go over and over and over and over and over and over. And I've been to that place a million fucking times, and I'll probably end up going there a million times more. But that is, in my opinion, the best job. Although, funny fucking thing, I just found out a lot of drivers don't want to do that job, even though it's the easiest, in my opinion, it's the easiest job because the road tolls going down the turnpike, the Delaware Memorial Bridge, Maryland Turnpike, blah, 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 blah. They don't want to pay those tolls. And they've gotten caught doing it back in the past, doing a longer route that avoids the tolls, but they're always late, and they got caught doing that by the company, and they got, I don't know, smacked on the wrist. But I just fucking drive down there and drive back because what the fuck, you know what I mean? I'll pay the tolls. I'm paying the tolls on the credit card that gives me Bitcoin rewards. So whatever the fuck it costs, you know, in tolls, I'm actually making Bitcoin driving down and back. And that's it. That's what I do. That's me going to fucking Dulles. I go in there. My visits in there are about that quick. Sometimes I chat with the front desk people. Occasionally, weirdly, they leave the fucking door to the men's room locked open. And I've walked in there and I've had this was like the spookiest feeling. I walk in there not even thinking, like, I'm just going to go use the restroom and then leave. And then, like, right next to the restroom, is the Office of Homeland Security for that facility. They have one in there, like in that FBO, and I've walked in there like I thought, oh, I better close that door. I better close this door, and fucking Homeland Security cop all geared up, tactical vest, and they're like right behind me, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? It's just so weird, like going into an enclosed space with an armed cop behind you. That just kind of freaks me a little bit. Although they're the laziest, dumbest cops in God's green earth. If anything ever kicked off, they'd be useless. But because it's a federal job, it's like, you know, it's all rich people going back and forth. You know, they're there almost for show. Like they're whatever toy soldiers are there, set piece little fucking authoritarian figures that never have to demonstrate competence about anything. They oftentimes turn their backs on everyone, and like they turn your back on the entire room, and they're chatting to somebody. Like, shouldn't you turn that around so that you're looking at the room, seeing who's coming and going? If you're doing cop shit, but whatever. Yeah, but every now and then one of them walks in the restaurant behind me, and I'm like, fuck, what the fuck, man? Like, I just don't expect. That spooks me sometimes. You're like walking into an enclosed space, and somebody coming in, some armed dude coming in behind you with his radio squawking. Like, why? You know, and I try not to flinch too much, but it bugs me. Anyway, so that's you know, that's me 3 days a week or however often they send me down there. That is what I see when I am serving the 1% that is funding, you know, these $100 million startups where all the money vanishes because some chick who's 30 something has figured out how to seduce some dude who's 60 something. You know, so that's that. But if you're happy with the world the way it is, run with it. I think that's probably not a good way to be, but you know, you wouldn't be here if you thought that, oh no, you know, this communist thing is pretty good. I can work this. You're here because you're like, no, I want to do something. You want to do something that's peaceful and legal, that has a chance of succeeding, as opposed to let's restart some 100-year-old shitty ideology that absolutely failed. Then what you ought to do is clear. How much you want to do it, you know, how deep you go, how quickly you go to depth, I don't know. Don't really know. But ending this shit right here, right, is the goal. And I think the way that happens is you end central banking, and not passively, but actively end central banking. And I think I know what the tool is. I think I know how that happens, and that's what I do. You know, in the meantime, I fucking make shitty fucking live streams and eat the crummy snacks intended for billionaires, but mostly eaten by third world Middle Eastern fucking limo driver dudes. Anyway, we are going now for an hour 20. Everyone currently watching, the stream snipers, the lurkers, whatever, Virgil Doc, who always shows up. Thanks for stopping by, and I will talk to you guys again next week. Hopefully, maybe there'll be more news, but this week was a little light on the news and happenings front. Anyway, talk to you guys again next week.